Good evening. You are listening to Studio 7 live from the Voice of America on Wednesday, March 25th, 2015. And this is Live Talk. I am Kip Stube.
And I'm Jonga Kandemiri.
Tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about challenges faced by relatives of Zimbabweans who die outside the country.
To join our discussion, phone us directly at 001-202-619-2077 and we'll call you back.
Live Talk goes out to Zimbabwe on our 909 meter wave frequency and on the 4930, 5940 and 15455 shortwave frequencies Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m.
On the internet, you can find us at www.voazimbabwe.com or at www.voashona.com and at www.voandebele.com.
Both situations, really sudden death, unexpected. And I would say that in the efforts we've been making to send both girls home, it's just been the generosity of the Zimbabwean community and also speaks to who these two young women are. But I think that in the bigger picture, this is just really unfortunate and really speaks of, what happens when we go away and when things like this happen.
I think kungovafunga kuti vanhu vanga vachifara vane rudo kumhuri dzavo uyezve vane rudo nenyika yedu yezimbabwe. Vanhu vanga vachitarisira zvikuru kuti vachazowanawo fundo iri pamusoro vazodzokerawo kumusha kunobatsira mhuri nekubatsirawo nyika yedu yezimbabwe.
Ava vese tudhane edc vafake i-fundraising online ukuthi sizama ukuthi abantu bonke ababemazi ukuthi bangancedisa ngokunika imali ukuthi imali le isetshenziswe ukuthi for repatriation and izinto ezinjalo.
Thanks for joining us once again. You are listening to Studio 7 Live Talk. This evening we are talking about deaths among families of Zimbabweans living in the diaspora.
Zimbabweans are currently raising money to pay for the repatriation of the remains of 3 Zimbabweans who died in the United States. 2 of them are graduates of the United States Students Achievers Program, Nancy Tinoza and Moline Tariro Magoronga, who died in separate incidents.
The other is the body of a woman who died recently in Atlanta while visiting America for some medical attention. A total of $60,000 is needed to repatriate the 3 bodies, and most Zimbabweans living in the diaspora face the same predicament.
What do you think about this issue? If you wish to join the discussion, phone us directly at 001-202-619-2077 and we'll call you back. The number again, 001-202-619-2077.
Yebo kambe maZimbabwe mahle lingalithola njani lapha likhona khona ngapho ke emakhaya mina lo Jonga siyaphila sibila kwamagama Jonga kunjani lamhla
ndakasimba linjani mina
hayi mbijana mfowethu sikhuluma khona ukuthi kulenkathazo esikhona lapha nxa sikhuluma eMelika sizwile ukuthi ke unkosazana Nancy Tinoza kuzobuya lo Moline Tariro Magoronga babhubhile khona lapha eMelika bebhubha nje ngesikhathi kulomama njalo ose Atlanta ubhubhile khona ngale eGeorgia so ke okuhluphayo ukuthi nazo sokudingwa imali yokuthi babiselwe ekhaya sekwazi ukuthi izidumbulezi zibiza imali eningi kakhulu kade sikufunakala umuntu oyedwa imali engafika khona lapho kuma 20,000 so sizwile njalo ukuthi abantu sebezamile ukudinga imali yokuqala sokudingwa imali engafika ku-18,000 kubozwe ukuthi kufunakala ke yonke ibe yi-60,000 abantu abathathu so nxa sesibona ke Jonga baningi abantu emazweni atshiyeneyo ukuthi nxa bengabhubha kunzima ndoda ukuze bethola imali kulukhuni mfowethu yes funa ukuthi abantu bathini
hongu nasi tine hurukuro inosuwisa asi ndeye kudzidzisanawo zvakare tiri kutarisa vanasikana vaviri vakashayikira muno muAmerica pamwe chete nevamwe amai vakanga vachishanyawo zvakare muno muAmerica vakarasikirwawo neupenyu vari muno. Dambudziko ratinotarisana naro pamatambudziko iwaya nderekuti tinge tichikwanisa kutakura mitumbi yevatatu ivava kuendesa kumusha. Tinonzwa kuti panodiwa mari ingasvika $60,000 kuti urongwa ihwo huchikwanisa kuitwa sezvinenge zvakatarisirwa. Asi dambudziko hombe sezvataurwa nemumwe wangu Gibbs nderekuunganidza mari iyoyo kuti inge ichiwanikwa $60,000 ndo nyaya yatoda kuti kurukure. Hamusi muno muAmerica chete muri kutarisana nematambudziko. Nyika dzakawanda kune vana veZimbabwe tinosangana nematambudziko mamwe chete. Ndo saka tiri kuti ngatibatsiranei vane pfungwa dzavainadzo kuti zvifambiswe zvirerutswe. Pindai pachirongwa tikurukure. Gibbs.
Now, what we know, Chonga, is that there are many requirements that are needed. You know, if somebody has to repatriate a body of a Zimbabwean who dies outside the country. One, you have to have a post-mortem report. There's some money involved there. Then we've got a death certificate. You have to find it. Embalmment and cremation certificate. Sometimes that is needed, especially cremation. And I can say both of them. Then we have to have an export permit, you know, from the concerned country's authorities. Like you have to communicate with the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Yes. And then somebody has to be cleared. There's something called infectious and non-infectious disease certificate. And these are normally issued by doctors. And doctors are not for free. You have to pay them. So then at the end of the day, you need a Zimbabwean passport or foreign issued passport with the Zimbabwe permanent residence endorsed in the kind of passport. That is needed too. Then the certificate of contents, that is the declaration of coffin contents done by undertakers. And all those, kukona kuyafunakala konoko. So abantu sifisa ukuthi bebekwazi khona ukuthi kuyafunakala civil impela mpela. Xa usemelika kumele ube khulumisana le-embassy ye-America. Xa use khona ngale ke e-South Africa kumele ukhulumisana le-embassy ebakhona ngale. Izigodlo zelezi yizo ziyenza ukuthi ugcine uhambisa omunye wakho ekhaya.
Mthumbi woyo.
Xa ungakwenzanga khonoko kuyahlupha mfowethu. Uzokutholakala konke.
Wongu Gibbs ari kutaura kuti mutumbi unge uchiendeswa kumusha apangotarisirwa chete kuti paunganzwe mari yokungoti ngatitakure munhu tiende kumusha nhasi. Panodiwa magwaro akafanana ne-post-mortem report, gwaro rinenge richitaridza kuti chii chaita kuti munhu ashayike. Poita hanzi inonzi export permit inofanira kuwanikwa zvakare kunyika kunenge kuchiendeswa mutumbi, inofanira kunge ichibva ku-foreign affairs kuZimbabwe. Poitawo gwaro rinoratidza kuti munhu iyeye anga aine chirwere here, kufa kwaita chirwere ichocho chingava chinobatira kune vamwe here, zvinganzi nevamwe kuti zvinobatira vamwe tingati chii Gibbs? Ine chindebele to be infectious tingati
ongathelelwana kuthelela abanye bantu
kuti vanosvika kumusha nokuti kumusha tsika dzedu dzinoti toda kuti tione mwana wedu tomugezesa todii zvimwe zvirwere vanenge vakuti aiwa chiregai kubata mutumbi iwoyo kana kuti mubate vangava mvura dzinenge chibva mumuviri imo mangava mafluids chiregai kubata nokuti pamwe munova matapurira chirwere panofanira paine gwaro iroro kuzoti zvakare panodewa gwaro rinoratidza kuti chii chiri mubhokisi imo mukofini imomo zvinenge zvichibva kune vanenge vabata nyaya dzacho dzerufu kunoko angadzi maundertaker. Saka pane zvinodiwa zvakawanda zvese zvinhu zvichida mari nemazuva akawandawo munhu achichengetwa mari ichidiwa zvakare.
Ubeka kahle sibili ujonga siyakwazi kufunakala into eziningi zakhuluma ke ngalokho nxa sesithole seke sakhuluma lo guest wethu okuqala. Our first guest is Mr. Rwatirasa Matsika, who is at the Zimbabwe Embassy in USA. Mr. Matsika, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thanks to the Voice of America Studio 7. I would like to thank you guys and to thank Ambassador Temga for giving me this opportunity to be on the air with you guys and to explain to the Zimbabwean community in the U.S. and also probably whoever is listening on what is really required to repatriate the remains of Zimbabweans out there.
So the question is, what is really required? Go ahead.
The requirements are basically a copy of the death certificate, a copy of the post-mortem report, a copy of the embalming certificate, then a copy of the non-infectious disease certificate, as well as a copy of the permit to repatriate those remains. Then there is one other thing which is also important, is a copy of the passport, which helps us to identify whether that person who has passed is a Zimbabwean or not. Yes.
Thank you very much, and stay on the line. I think we're joined by two other guests. That is Pastor Isaac Mwase, who is living in America and is in Baltimore, Maryland. Pastor Mwase, good evening and welcome to the program.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We also have Mr. Ngqabutho Mabhena, who is living in South Africa. Mr. Mabhena, good evening and welcome to the program. Can you hear us, Mr. Mabhena? I think he's
nareya wainenge iri kutinetsei ndomboenda kuna vamatsika tanzwa zvamataura asi maamuchitsanangura zvenyu murimi rwechirungu kuti zvii zvinodiwa kuti munhu anga achitanga kutarisirwa kuti akugadziriswa kuti aende kumusha anenge ashayikira muno muamerica. Mungangoti zvakare de nechivanhu kuti vanhu vanzwisise kana muchikwanisa vamangosanganisa futi nendebele ipapo.
Okay, thank you. Tinotenda. Chinodiwa chandataura chokutanga ipepa rinorakidza kuti chitupa chekurakidza kuti munhu ashayika ndio chandati icho death certificate. Chitupa chemufi, koita chitupa chinoratidza kuti afa nechii chakonzi chaonekwa nana chiremba kuti ripoti racho rinotaura kuti afa nei, post mortem report. Then koita chitupa chokurakidza kuti mutumbi iyoyo wemunhu washaya wabatwa nenzira yakakodzera kuti tikwanise kutakurwa kubva munzvimbo yaashayikira muno muAmerica kuenda kuZimbabwe chine nenzira yakanaka chisina kana kuipa kuti chingakonzera maproblems kune vamwe vese vanenge vari chichibata. Ndio inonzi iyo embalming certificate. Then kozoita futi chitupa certificate inoratidza kuti munhu chirwere chaafa nacho hachikwanisi kutapurirwa kune vamwe vanenge vachibata mutumbi iyeye here vachitangana nebhodhi yake. That's the non-infectious disease certificate. Koita permit to repatriate the remains yandataura ndio imwe pepazve mvumo yokuti apiwa nevehurumende yeAmerica, Department of Health, kuti vanokwanisa kutakura mutumbi iyoyo kubuda nawo muAmerica kuenda nawo kune imwe nyika. Nokuti kana pasina permit iyoyo zvinoita ndezvokuti ve-customs and immigration havazobvumidzi kuti mutumbi iyoyo ubude mune ino nyika. Tataura futi rekopi yepassport kana chitupa cheZimbabwe kuratidza kuti tizive kuti munhu iyeye ashayika mwana weZimbabwe.
Yes, akuzwa kuruke mnumzana Matsika ngikufaka ngesintu uthi kuyafunakala sibili amaphepha anjenge postmortem khona ukuthi uyakhangelwa ukuthi ubulewe kuyini. Bozokhangela njalo ukuthi ke uembambe lokana ukuthi bafaka okunye okuthize emzimbeni wenze ukuthi
usakasike ukushaya.
Kunjalo mfowethu ungaboni. Kuzobuya ke khona ukuthi kambe oyabe ukuthwele kongena kulani phakathi nxa zongena ekofinini kumele ukhulumeke labantu abakukhangelayo khonokho. Kuzobuya njalo lokuthi umuntu ahlole ukuthi umkhuhlane ubulawa kuyini. Sisakhuluma ngakho kuzobuya le passport yeZimbabwe kumele ube layo, then bese ukuthi nxa usukhangele wena phakathi kompana antisumele ukuthiwa kukhofini kulani kumele batshele ukuthi kulani kompana siphuma. So ngeke ngizwe ke I think let's go to Pastor Isaac Mwase. Pastor Mwase, how serious is this problem concerning Zimbabweans who die in the diaspora?
Yeah, we find that from time to time the Zimbabwean community is affected by deaths in the community. Just recently, we received word that Nancy Tinoza died. Almost every month, the community comes together to mourn somebody who has either died from natural causes or in an accident. And the community always comes together to mourn with the bereaved family and to assist in helping the family deal with the death of their loved one.
Ndoti kuna vaMwase nerurimi rweshona dambudziko guru rinenge riripo ndere kuti toita sei kuti tinge tichikwanisa kuunganidza mari. Vazhinji muno tiri tega, mhuri dzedu dziri kumusha. Munobatsira sei kuzobatanidza mhuri dziri kumusha neshamwari nehama dziri muno nekuti pange pachiunganidzwa mari sezvamataura kuti maZimbabweans munee muchiungana muchinyaradzana?
Tine rombo rakanaka muno mu DC, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia region kuti tinozivana semhuri yeZimbabwe kana pa mumwe wedu kana pane mhuri inenge yashayikirwa tinoziviswa kuti paitika rufu tine vanotibatsira ku vane distribution list inotumira shoko kuti kwaitika rufu kwaumba kwakati. Isu semhuri yeZimbabwe tosangana ikoko tichiita munamato. Tine vafundisi vakati kuti vanotibatsira panguva dzekushayikirwa, mufundisi Mudede, mufundisi Kapfumbuti, mufundisi Jani, mufundisi Mzezewa mfundisi Ngqabutho pakangwari kuno vasati vaenda ku UK. Vafundisi zvakare nemalove sisters ari munomu vanotibatsira kuti tiungane. VeZimbabwe Diaspora Network of North America vatungamiriri vanenge vachibatsira kuti muri dzisangane. Patinosangana vanhu vanouya netsotso dzekubatsira mhuri inenge yashayikirwa. Inini ndakashayikirwa nehanzvadzi yangu pane mwedzi miviri ashanya muri ku-UK. Mhuri yeZimbabwe yakatikuta vakatibatsira kuti tikwanise kudzosera mutumbi kuZimbabwe kwaangabva achinoradzikwa ikoko achinochengetwa ikoko. Saka panoratidzwa rudo rwekutsigirana panguva yekushayikirwa.
I think, Mr. Matsika, you can chip in there by explaining to us problems that most Zimbabweans face when they are faced by such problems. Dzekushayikirwa.
Ndinotenda. Chandinoona chakanyanya chinonetsa kuvanhu vazhinji vanenge vashayikirwa. Chokutanga ndicho chandanzwa chinotaurwa namufundisi Mwase kuti nyaya dzemari, which I really appreciate kuti vana veZimbabwe vari muno vanokwanisa vanga vachiita zvachose kubatsirana kuunganidza mari yokuti vanhu mutumbi uitwe repatriate kuZimbabwe. Saka nyaya ndinoona inonetsa vamwe vacho ndeyekuti panguva yavanenge ashaya ndeyekuti haachina kana pepa rokuratidza kuti muZimbabwe. Kana pasvika panguva iyo haana passport, haana birth certificate, haana chimwe chipepa chimwe chingatiratidza kuti mwana uyu ashaya mwana weZimbabwe. Saka kana pasvika panguva yakudaro, kazhinji isu tinonetseka kuti topruva sei kuhurumende yeZimbabwe kuti munhu uyu ashayika mwana weZimbabwe. Anokwanisa kuva nezita rakaita serangu rokunzi Matsika. Asi kana pasina that backup document rokupruva kwavari kuti mwana uyu ndeweZimbabwe, zvinotinetsa. Kozoita mamwe masituation okuti munhu iyeye ngati kubvira mumashure mutisati tava nerimwe bumbiro remutemo riripo, takati masituation okuti munhu anenge achitotumira US passport, ndo document regara anenge ainaro. Saka kazhinji pakatasa ipapo zvatanga tiita ndezvokuti no, isusu we cannot object kuti undochengetwa kuZimbabwe. Isusu seembassy takuziva kuti iwe wanga uri mwana weZimbabwe. Zvatinoita ndezvokuti tinotumira mapepa iwayo kuZimbabwe through Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and totaura nehama dzacho kuZimbabwe futi totora mapepa iwayo mondo clear neMinistry of Home Affairs. The Registrar General Department second year birth and date inoziva zvese izvozvo, inokwanisa kucheka yo clear clear yotidzorera mapepa isusu, then we process zvese zvavo kutoenda. Kazhinji isu hatitori nguva, tikawana mapepa acho kana zuva rimwe chete hatipedzi kana 2 hours tisati tapedza kuprocessa mapepa iwayo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matsika. You can explain just roughly what you are saying.
He said that for many Zimbabweans, or some Zimbabweans who pass on here in the US, the problem they faced is that some didn't have documentation to prove that they are Zimbabweans. And for some who had documentation, they had American passports. And they have to verify with the Zimbabwean authorities, the Registrar General's office. But he says it doesn't take long if everything is in order. In 2-3 hours, they can process the papers.
Oh, good. So now I think we've got Mr. Ngqabutho Mabhena on the line from South Africa. Mr. Mabhena, can you hear me?
How are you, Chris?
So ke nxa sikhangele nyaphila mfowethu, nxa sikhangele udaba lolu kunjani khona ngapha eGoli nxa sikhangele ngezokufa lezi?
Okukhona ngapha eSouth Africa ukuthi okweminyaka eminingi sesazama kakhulu ukuthi sincedise abantu babe lama burial society ngoba ungananzelela vele ngapha sibanengi kakhulu ama weekend wonke kulabantu abahanjiswe ekhaya izidumbu ezihanjiswe ekhaya so kwabalula ukuthi abantu bayahlangana ngezigaba abavela kuzo babe lama burial society okuncedisa ukuthi nxa omunye wethu engasekho emhlabeni sikwazi ukuthi isimo sekhaya ibekwa khona kanti ke futhi amanye amabandla ama church organizations labo baba nama burial societies zabo ukuthi bancedisa abazalwane babo nxa sebedlulile emhlabeni babahambise ekhaya sibona le kuyinto encedisayo ngoba umuntu angathula esegoli ukuthi ahanjiswe ekhaya kuba imali eningi kuyafuneka imali efika ku 15,000 kuya ku 20,000 rands ukuthi umuntu azahamba ekhaya ngoba ukufa asonto abantu ababeyilindile umuntu yadlula emhlabeni abantu bevele bengazange bakubudgetele nxa umuntu kade ngela society kuyahlupha ke kakhulu sesike sakubona esikhathini eziningi ukuthi nxa ingekho society uthola abantu sebethwele nzima selokhu bezama ukuthi ama 10 rand ama 100 rand bezama ukuthi bagcwalise imali yokuthi umufi ahanjiswe ekhaya.
Oh yes, siyakuzwa kakhulu ke ubambe Mabhena ungayikajana. So he says, you know, Zimbabweans living in South Africa have got burial societies and all those kind of things. But it's always a problem when somebody is not affiliated to any of those groups. Yeah.
Okay. I think we'll come back to Mfundisi Mwase. Tabva kune mtereri Mkoma Nathan. Makadi Mkoma Nathan. Mkoma Nathan. Hello, Mkoma Nathan, mrudi nzwere. Mkoma Nathan, suduruka mbichana pa radio yenyu.
Hello.
Suduruka izvishoma pane radio. Takasimba suduruka izvishoma pa radio mutipo fungwa dzenyu muchirongwa.
Hello, makasimba. Hello, makasimba.
Takasimba makasimba Mkoma Nathan, titaurire pfungwa dzenyu pamusoro penyaya yatiri kukurukura.
No, I think we've got a bit line there. So I think we can phone him back. Yeah.
Mkoma Nathan, regaiti kufonere zvakare Gibbs.
Yeah, so sorry, I think we've got a very bad line there. So we can actually read one or two messages on Facebook and WhatsApp. You know, we've got one message from Nicholas Moyo who says, people must lay to rest most of those people who die outside Zimbabwe where they are. And then we've got another message from Best who writes, it's high time people consider cremation as it provides portability of hanging remains. People can easily take cremated remains with them, as this eliminates many costs associated with funerals, including the casket, gravesite, cemetery fees, and all those other things. What do we have there?
What's up, Panam Komada Vinzanzi? It's so terrible, and people are left with no choice but to bury them there. I think the government must seriously consider investor friendliness. Then Pana Babache Nidza. It's very expensive to transport bodies back home, especially from as near as neighboring South Africa. 15,000 is the cheapest. I think it's 15,000 rands. Then Pana Fore. My view, I think the burial must be done in diaspora where the deceased died. Then Emmanuel says, I wonder why human remains are so expensive to transport than a live one. What the difference here? People must think again on this issue. Then King Solomon, it's now a business. How much do remains cost? Then Farai, isn't that a terrible figure? What's all that money for? And who determines those charges, if I may ask? So death is a crime. Mvunzo.
And then we've got a message from Chabuda who writes, normally it costs roughly about $10,000 to ferry a body from Johannesburg to Harare. And then we've got another message from Lucy who says, it's better for you to come back home when you're sick so that you cut all the costs.
And
then Absalom says, burial societies are the only way to go here in South Africa. So maybe let's is Nathan there? Yeah, okay, good.
Maswera say. Taswera angoti dimu muchitaurisa vazhinji vakunzwei taurai panyaya tiri kukurukurai.
Panyaya kukurukura ndiri kuona kuti vanhu vakwanise Hello.
Ngoma Nathan, kana nhare ichinge ichinetsa tinogona kudzoka kwamuri timbopa vamwe mukana.
Nhare iri kunetsa.
Asi zvatiri kutombokwanisa kunzwa ingoti dimu.
I think you can reduce maybe.
Nhare yawo inenge iri kuti netsei. Gibbs wangoida kutaura zvimwe zvinhu.
Yes, maybe I thought he was going to reduce the volume of his his radio. Maybe that's why we're getting some kind of feedback.
Some feedback. Okay.
Now let's go to Pastor Mwase. There's a suggestion here from this gentleman who is in South Africa who says, what about cremating bodies, Is that an alternative for Zimbabweans?
That could be an alternative for those who have a belief system that allows for cremation. And certainly that makes it easy to transport the ashes for burial in Zimbabwe or wherever somebody might want to be buried. You do have some people who believe strongly for religious reasons or cultural reasons that they do not want to be cremated. And in those cases, then families are going to be found, are going to face the need to transport the body back to Zimbabwe. Or they could choose to be buried wherever it is that they are living. Those in the States could be buried here in the United States. Those in the UK could be buried there in the UK. Those in South Africa could be buried in South Africa. So these are choices that families have to talk through and plan ahead so that people are not taken by surprise when death occurs.
Todzoka kuna vamatsika. Nyaya hombe yakurudzirwa nevamwe vanga vachinyorawo pano vateereri vedu yekuti vana veZimbabwe vanga vachiita zvirongwa zvakaita semaburial society nezvimwe zvakadaro. Imiwo seembassy munokurudzira zvakadii kuti vana veZimbabwe vanga vachiita urongwa ihwo uye mune zvimwe here zvirongwa zvamuri kuitawo zvinoita kuti vana veZimbabwe vanga vachipinda?
Chikwadi ndechekuti vana veZimbabwe tinenge tichitarisira kuti muno muAmerica chinhu chandinoona chakakosha chatanga tikurudzira kuti vana vaite kuva nema-life insurance. Kana vese vanokwanisa zvavo vese vakava nema-life insurance zvinenge zvinoita zviri nani.
Thank you so much. He says they encourage Zimbabweans to have life insurance, especially here in America. And considering all these problems that we face when we lose one of us, I think it's a good option to go. And I think you spoke of burial societies.
Yes.
And Mr. Mabhena mentioned that.
Yes.
I think he can give us a hint on how people can come together to form such burial societies.
Mr. Mabhena, how easy is it to actually set up burial societies?
Well, in South Africa, it's very easy because the people come together, say people from a particular ward in Zimbabwe, when they are here, they gather, or family burial societies, like I said earlier on, church burial societies, and so on and so on. So we found it is very, very easy to set up a burial society. But always the challenge is that the young ones would not want to contribute towards a burial society, which then creates problems when they pass on, because sometimes the young person thinks that they will never die at a young age. So that's the challenge. But in one comment read by a caller, one of the messages that you read around the issue of cremation, it's actually against our African culture to cremate because the people want to visit a grave of their loved one. To do the African rituals and so on. So if you do cremate, it becomes really, really a challenge. I don't think it's something that we as Africans we can embrace at this stage. We will definitely want to bury the person and visit the grave. And secondly, when a person, what we have come to understand is that when a person passes on in Joburg, parents back in Zimbabwe, they will be waiting for the body. Yes, there are some that have been laid to rest in South Africa.
Sorry, Mr. Mabhena, we're taking a very, very short break. We'll come back to you. For now, to our radio listeners, wish to say goodbye. And for the internet followers, visit us at www.voazimbabwe.com. That is www.voazimbabwe.com. This is Gibbs Dube in Washington, D.C. Stay tuned.
And I'm Jonga Kandemire.
And for those who have just joined us tonight on Studio 7 Live Talk, we're talking about challenges faced by Zimbabweans whose relatives die abroad or in many countries. If you wish to join the discussion right now, phone us directly at this number, 001-202-619-2077, and we'll call you back. And obviously, Jonga, our guests are Mr. Rwatirasa Matsika, who is at the U.S. Zimbabwe Embassy here in USA, yes. And then we've got Pastor Isaac Mwase living in America. And then we've got Mr. Ngqabutho Mabhena, who is in South Africa.
I think what Mr. Mabhena said before we closed our first segment was that people should form all these societies and other assisting institutions or groups that like Dr. Mwase, Pastor Mwase earlier mentioned, the Love Sisters here in America is doing a great job. But also there are local companies, Zimbabwean companies that are partnering with Zimbabweans abroad to form funeral assurance companies or funeral cash plans that are also assisting Zimbabweans who die abroad. I think we can also look at those scenarios and how useful are they. Maybe by asking Mr. Matsika. Mr. Matsika, do we have any companies in Zimbabwe that are working with Zimbabweans here to repatriate bodies when cases or incidents like these occur?
We don't actually have companies that we are offering those services, actually, in terms of communication with the embassies. Companies that we know are just the funeral homes that receive the bodies of those people who are dying in the U.S.
Now we had given Pastor Mwase a very short time in terms of notice. So Pastor Mwase will just give you 5 minutes to actually give Zimbabweans some kind of direction. What should happen in case somebody has lost a relative abroad or anywhere in this part of the world?
Those that are part of faith communities can find a lot of help from their pastors. And in one of the things that we are in the process of doing is to organize the Zimbabwean community so that we are better able to support each other in formal ways. Here in the Washington, D.C. area, we've been fortunate that there have been some informal groups that have been taking the task of helping families in the event of a death. We have a number of pastors who are always ready to help. Now, one of the things that we're in the process of doing is forming an association. The Zimbabwe Diaspora Network of North America has been launched in order to bring together Zimbabweans in a formal way so that they can begin to think systematically about addressing some of these issues. So one of the things that the community might do is figure out a way of getting low-cost insurance so that if you have the numbers, you can be able to buy insurance that can take care of expenses in the event of your death. Now, I would encourage Zimbabweans, wherever they are, in the United States or UK or in South Africa, to make sure that they have life insurance so that in the event of your death, then you have left enough resources for the family to be able to follow your wishes if you are going to be buried back in Zimbabwe or whatever it is that you might desire, the resources are going to be there.
Thank you very much. Do you want to ask him maybe the last question?
Maybe not a question as such, but a suggestion that I think by trying to bring together Zimbabweans, mostly people want to meet when there is a party, when there is a function like some band playing. I think it's one way of also trying to remind the Zimbabweans, Pastor Mwase, when they meet, say, at a gala or somewhere, that they should join all these things, not to maybe call for a meeting where you expect some people to come. Some may not come because specifically you are not going to, you are going to discuss about the diaspora network. But if you meet them at a function, then you distribute, maybe have some pamphlets or something like that. What do you think?
That is certainly something that will be done. We are in the process of moving in stages. And as we become better organized, wherever Zimbabweans gather, we are going to be encouraging them to formally become part of associations so that in an organized way, they are prepared to deal with tragedy when tragedy comes, rather than waiting to gather resources is that okay. We do not want to find ourselves in a situation where we are stressed and not in a position to help each other.
Thank you so much, Pastor Mwase. We really appreciate the time that we had with you today.
It's been a pleasure being on your program.
Thank you so much. So now let's go to Mr. Mabhena. Baba Mabhena, lokho kwenzweni.
Baba.
Ye, nxa sesikhangele njalo ke Baba Mabhena, siyabona ukuthi ke kujayele khona ngapho ke eGoli kakhulu ukuthi nxa umuntu ehanjiswe ekhaya uzokuthiwa kulaloko kuthiwa bayadizwa abanye abantu kulento ezinjalo umuntu engalamaphepha kujalekile khonokho. So ke nxa umuntu engalamaphepha bazi njani ukuthi umuntu ohambiliwe isidumbu esihanjiswe khona ekhaya ngesakhe kujalo uhamba njani?
Hayi uhlupho lake lube khona ukuthi umuntu abhubhe ngapha engelawa amaphepha kodwa izihlobo zakhe zabe zihambile bam-identifya ukuthi lo hayi nguye ngumfowethu lo obhubhileyo bese uthola ukuthi kwesinye isikhathi umuntu isithupha sakhe siyabe seZimbabwe sibese sizanye ukuthi sithunyelwe ngapha eSouth Africa kojalo ukwenziwa singathunyelwa ngapha umuntu abeselungiselwa amaphepha akhe kwesinye isikhathi kube songani kuyehlula kodwa njengoba ama-undertakers amaningi vela sekhona ngapha ngaweZimbabwe sebesebenzisana kuhle le-Home Affairs eyiyo enika amaphepha lawo ukuthi banelise ukuthi abantu bathathe umufi bahambe laye ekhaya. Kakusahluphi kakhulu khathesi kodwa uhlupho luba khona usebhoda ufica ukuthi abantu bayama lesidumbu isikhathi eside ama-hours amade belokhu bemile khona phana bezama ukuthi bakhiye ngoba sikunanzelelayo njengoba nje loqalise ukuthi abantu sibanengi ngapha kanti-ke lokufa lakho kuvele kukhona. Ngama-Friday, Saturday banengi abantu abaphuma lezidumbu besiya ekhaya kube sokusenza i-delay esingabe sikucela kakhulu ukuthi nxa abantu bebuya lezidumbu befike ebhoda kungathathwa isikhathi badluliswe nje masinyane bakwazi ukuthi bahambe bayefika lapha babe siyabeka khona isihlobo sabo.
Siyabonga kakhulu ke Mnumzana Ngqabutho Mabhena khona ngapho eGoli. So what he's saying is that in case somebody doesn't have ID papers, so relatives are called to South Africa to come and identify the body, and thereafter then the body can be taken back home. But the problem is at the border. It says most cases immigration is a problem, and you can be there, for a very, very long time.
Because
and
they have ID.
That's it. Yeah. That's a very big problem. I think now we are joined by another guest, and that is Mr. Jeff Madzingo, who is the director of the Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan. Mr. Madzingo, how are you? Are you there, Mr. Madzingo?
I think we lost him.
Oh, I think we've got this.
I'm here.
I
can hear you.
Good. Now we can hear you. Thank you for joining us,
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think you can pose a question to him.
Vamadzingo, nyaya yatiri kukurukura ndiyo nyaya yedambudziko riri kuwirwa nemhuri dzeZimbabwe dzakawanda mudiaspora kunze kwenyika. Kuno kwaAmerica kune vasikana vaviri vakashayika, mumwe akashayika musi weSondo, mumwe akashayika neZuro. Tino vamwe amai zvakare vakashayika, tino vanhu vatatu vari muno vakashaya vatiri kuziva ndo vari kuzivikanwa. Dambudziko guru rinenge rakutarisana nemhuri kuti tinge tichikwanisa kuendesa mitumbi kumusha. Tinonzwa kuti panodiwa mari ingasvika 60,000 kuti mitumbi yevanhu vatatu ivavo inge ichikwanisa kuripatriatwa kuenda kumusha. Ndo patakufungai mushure mekunge tanzwa kurudziro yaitwa navaMatsika nevamwe vatauriri kuti panodawo kuti paitwe life funeral assurance companies nezvimwe zvakadaro kuti vanhu nge muchibatsirika. Tikati aiwa Madzingo vane diaspora funeral cash plan, regai tivadaidze pachirongwa.
No, hapana takaipa. Tinotenda zvikuru nenguva yamatipa endi inguva yatiri kusangana nokuburikidza nematambudziko atasangana nawo mudiaspora, which is zvinova zvinhu zvinorwadza zvikuru, and tinenge tichita kuti vashaika ngatiwane mukana uyoyo kuti tidzidzisane, tisapinda mudambudziko rokuti every time panoshaika hama neshamwari topinda mudambudziko rokupemha. Saka tine urongwa hwediaspora funeral cash plan inova urongwa hwakanaka zvikuru pakuti munhu anokwanisa kuzvikavha owana rubatsiro rwake kana paitika dambudziko rokuti anokwanisa kuwana kusvika ku$20,000 US. And mari yacho inobhadharwa ipapo munhu ashaika, which means kuti zvinova zobetsera kuti munhu avigwewo segamba pane kuti tiite mudeme zvatapindana nazvo.
But what is required of one to become a member?
My requirements ekuti a member are very simple. In fact, it's as good as hapana my requirements really. The only requirements are kuti every Zimbabwean worldwide, including vari kuZimbabwe, vanokwanisa kupinda pakavha iyi. Requirement iyo iriponde ngoti kana munhu ane makore asingadariki 75 qualifies to be covered. And it's guaranteed acceptance, which means kuti hapana zvokuti utano hwako huna kunaka, wakamboita cancer kana wakamboita uroka, wakamboita medical condition, saka hatikwanisi kukavha. Hapabvunzwe kana mubvunzo umwe wemedical question. Saka chinongodikwa ndechekuti kana uri muZimbabwe une makore ari 75 zvichidzika unoqualifya kukavhiwa without any condition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matsingo. Let's go to Mr. Matsika. Mr. Matsika, are you still there?
Yes.
Now, I think we are listening to this kind of information from Mr. Matsingo. And Zimbabweans are very, very inquisitive people, by the way. Yes. So they will say, okay, we are hearing him saying whatever he's saying, but how safe is the money? Is there any way that, let's say, the Zimbabwe embassy can protect its people who are in the diaspora against maybe some money disappearing in some way through some of these companies? How can you deal with that?
It's something that we cannot really enforce because if a company is registered in the U.S., it's really up to the U.S. law enforcement system to protect them. What we can actually say is we help in trying to navigate certain administrative matters. For instance, if a Zimbabwean passes in a certain state which has got very stringent laws or regulations in terms of repatriation of the remains, I can safely say from today, actually, I had a conversation with the host government, the State Department, trying to navigate some issues when certain people were saying we were denied the permit to repatriate the remains because of the cause of death, which is ABC. But to my knowledge, those causes of the death are not really a reason for not allowing the body to be repatriated. So I had to seek the intervention of the host government, and we have navigated that. So those are the issues that probably people need to be aware of. When they have a situation like that, it's more important for them to actually come to the embassy first, just to let us know, so that if there is any issue which is a kind of an impediment, we can help each other to navigate.
Yes, go ahead.
The other thing is we communicate with the Zimbabwean diaspora through the website in terms of those requirements which we have mentioned. We have them on the website.
So now, in case there is a criminal issue around somebody's death, how do we handle that kind of situation?
A criminal issue, for instance, somebody has been killed.
Yes.
By a Zimbabwean or by an American, that is a matter of this local legislation to take care of. Okay. Really, what we can only do is to make sure that we follow through the matter. We have the opportunity, of course, we have got the right to even go and attend the hearings. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Stay on the line, Mr. Matsika. I think Slom Numzana, KK Ngube Etungweni, Ukolangalege Ekoli. Baba KK, unjani? Sipile kakhulu kunjani kulapha ekhona?
Hayi kuyashisa kuyanetha nje.
Yeah, so nantu ungathini baba?
Mina ngikhuthaza ukuthi abantu babe nama society babo ukuze umthwalo ube lula. Kuyasiza ngapha eSouth Africa kodwa bakhona abangenawo ama society kuba yinkinga ke umuntu ugcine sejala inyanga yonke la.
Xa kunjalo ke kucina kusenziwani?
Ugcina mpela senibhadala imali ngabo 1000 umuntu eyi-1 ukuthi nikwazi ukuhamba lo sidumbu.
Akusitshele ke baba Ncube, xa ukuthi u-society burial ubhadala malini ngenyanga?
Ngenyanga sibhadala ama-50 rand, amanye ngama-40 rand, kuya ngokuthi kona ingakanani yona nendleko zazingakanani.
Kodwa baningi kanganani abantu beZimbabwe abakuma-society wona lawo?
Hayi baningi nendlela esabelayo basingene ezikolweni namalanga agcine sikhokipha amaklasi wonke mpela.
So ke singathi okuhluphayo kodwa kuyini loba kulama-society wona lawo?
Okuhlupha yila abantu abangafuni ukujoyina babudube sike sincute nabazali emakhaya amasikhamisa isidumbu ukuthi bazali gelani ingane zenu joyina ama-society uma sifika la ekhaya.
Yes, singathi abantu abanengi baningi kanganani abantu ababhubha khona lapha eSouth Africa ngokwazi kwakho lapho khona izalwane zeZimbabwe?
Baningi kakhulu babudiyo, baningi kakhulu ngoba every Sunday kuyahlangana eBridge isidumbu njalo nje.
Maybe you can ask him whether the South African government requires any registration of these societies.
So ke nxa ukuthi ke linjalo eSouth Africa lama society yenu kwamele ubhalise kumbe uyaphoka ukuthi phulukuhle ngaphansi kwesihlahla suzitshayela nje society?
Hayi lana umthetho wakhona ufani waseZimbabwe niyayenza i-society bese nibheka i-constitution yenu nathi emaphoyiseni niyo-certify
kuphela nje.
Yebo.
Hayi kuhle kakhulu Ncube. Yes, sibonile kakhulu ungadilula kusasa ubophenduka phela.
Can I come in there?
Yes, come in, yes.
Yeah, on the same point, I understand the issue raised about the service providers, some being not genuine, some being genuine, people losing their monies and things like that. With the Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan is actually just a product. And it's a product of the Zimnat Life. Zimnat Life, we all know Zimnat Life. They've been operating since 1959. They're 100% owned by TA Holdings in Zimbabwe, which has been on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange since 1964. So it's not a product that has just come out of a briefcase. It's a product being done by one of the biggest insurance companies in Zimbabwe. And also talking about the society, the burial societies, the caller was referring to. On the Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, we actually have a product that caters for those burial societies, so that they can operate as an insured group, wherein the whole group is in insurance. We call it is underwritten by the insurance. So on the Diaspora Funeral Cash Plan, their burial society can join as a group. What that means is if there is a claim, the monies are not being taken from the buffer account for the burial society. The insurance company is paying for the claim. In the UK, we've got groups that have joined as a group, and there are groups with more than 50 people in the same group. So it's an option that the society those burial groups can also join, because it gives them much more strength to have a backing of a big insurance company.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Madzingo. Maybe I can go back to Mr. Matsika. You know, there are some incidents where the police maybe inform the embassy first before they consult the family. How do you deal with such cases? Informing parents or relatives back home. Wamatsika tunoziva kuti inguva inenge yakaoma zvikuru iyo.
Chokwadi inguva inenge yakaoma. What we normally do when we get the notification from the police or any other person before the relatives come to know about it, the first thing we do, we communicate through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and then the Home Affairs, so that the relatives of those deceased out here are informed. But it's something that is not so easy, because sometimes because of the time differences. For instance, I can tell you that the incident that happened in Boston yesterday, I got a call in the middle of the night around half past 12 midnight from somebody in Zimbabwe, just to inform me. So you see, incidents like that, as long as there is information, we try by all means to immediately relay that information to the respective relatives. But there are certain issues or situations where even in the U.S., the dissident does not have a relative. What we encourage certainly is for those people who know the person who has died to immediately inform the parents back home or inform us so that we work together on how to deal with the matter. Because the most important thing sometimes it's not for those relatives to come over, but to get somebody, give the person someone, maybe the embassy or in the diaspora who is close to the disease, to get the powers of attorney to start to run around. Because without the powers of attorney, the funeral homes will not accept you, the hospitals will not accept you, as much as you want to try to help. This is something that is very critical.
Saka handiko nongoti Gibbs ishamwari yangu chirega nditobata nyaya yacho inini kuno.
Amukwanisi kudaro vanoda mapowers of attorney, which of course are supposed to be also confirmed by the embassy to say this person is in Zimbabwe. Of course, we know this case and we authenticate that document.
Siyamuzwa lapha ke ubaba Matsika sithi kunzima nxa ukuthi ungana ula maphepha right kumbe into ezinjalo ngoba uthi nxa ukuthi wena ungazi akutsho ukuthi konke kuzokuhambela kuhle. Kodwa kumele kube lo muntu ozabhala ukuthi lo muntu siyamazi.
Asinaenda kuisa mvuzo nsanda ukangana kuna Wamatsika.
Posela khona.
Wamatsika.
Yes.
Pane vamwe vanopinda muno obva vangogara shamwari yangu inoti kunyamalala vanobva vangoshayika kuzivikana kuti varipi. Mune kurudziro here yamunoita kuti zvizvarwa zveZimbabwe zvinge zvichizivikanwa kuembasi kuitira kana pakasitawo matambudziko imiwo hamunyanyonetseka nenyaya idzodzo?
Ndinotenda chaizvo vadonga. Inyaya yakanaka chaizvo kuti tinokurudzira vana veZimbabwe, zvizvarwa zveZimbabwe kuti pese anenge achipinda muno muAmerica ave anozivikanwa neembasi yake kungoti ari muno. We don't make follow-ups kuti uri papi uchita uri kuitei, but the most important thing is for us to know that you are here. We have quite a number of people who come, who just notify us before they even arrive. And we have also the cases of trying to follow up with them. Have you settled? And what are you doing? What are we doing? What can we help you with? All those issues. It's very important for us to get to know you.
So what Mr. Matsika is saying is that you shouldn't just disappear ukuthi unyamalale nje ungene esihlahleni. So uthi nxa ungafika lapha eMelika khuluma uthi khona utshela iembassy khona ngathi isigodlo seZimbabwe eseMelika ukuthi hayi phela lami ngiyaphila ngila. Hayi konke ujonga ungafika lapha sotho ujonga sehlala eMaryland ngaphi ngaphi esiqwini
chimwe chinoitika ndechekuti Gibbs mumwe akapinda munomu anobva ati manje mazuva andakapiwa yapfuura asi handisandada kudzokera kumusha. Zvino anotya kuti Wamatsika vakaziva ndiri muMaryland umu pamwe Wamatsika vanogona kuti ndichidzokera kumusha. Ndofunga ndo zvimwe zvavangakwanisa kutsanangura nokuti vataura nyaya yekuti vamwe vanhu vanenge vasina mapepa nekuti kazhinji unosvika ubva wagara munomu passport yoexpire hauchakwanisa kana uchinge uchidzokera kumusha. Saka ndo dzimwe nyaya dzinenge chida kukurukurwa.
So Mr. Matsika, the other issue is if you disappear in the large crowd of DC, maybe it's a question that your visa is expired. How do you handle such things? It's difficult, right?
It's not difficult. Actually, what we are here for is to help Zimbabweans. We are here to serve Zimbabweans. Whether you are illegally staying in the U.S. or legally staying in the U.S., we are here to serve you. We are not here to enforce the U.S. immigration laws as the embassy. We are here to serve Zimbabweans. What we can only encourage Zimbabweans wherever they are in the U.S. is for them to be law-abiding people, respect the laws of the host country. Because I must tell you that, like what Mr. Jonga said, if you are arrested within 24 hours, we are notified. Whether we tell you or whether you are told that we are told this is Vienna Convention, mandatory notification, so as soon as they know that we are Zimbabwean, we are notified. The moment you die, they make an effort to contact the embassy. So those are certain provisions that Zimbabweans may not know. But what we cannot do is to say a Zimbabwean is staying there as an illegal immigrant in America, then we make follow-ups. We are not the U.S. immigration law enforcers. We are here to protect you by any means necessary. What we cannot protect you is if you commit a crime and try to protect you. But we try by all means even to talk to those people in detention. If you are treated badly in detention, we've got the right to say, no, you have done ABC to our national in detention number so-and-so in this state. We have done that with other people. And sometimes Zimbabweans go all the way to hire a lawyer only to be escorted to the port exit. In certain cases where embassies can be very useful and help you navigate all those issues.
Gibbs hanzi na Matsika.
Yeah.
Pananyatsobata chaipo. Haikona kuda kuzozikana neembassy mafa kana kuti masungwa. Zikanai muchirumpenyu zvawakaita izvi. Regaitinzwe kuti Mabhena utiri. Yeah, Mr. Mabhena, how are Zimbabweans in South Africa working with the Zimbabwean embassy there in South Africa?
Well, as you know, in South Africa we have quite a number of civic organizations that represent the interest of Zimbabweans, and they are very close to the Zimbabwean consulate in Johannesburg and in Cape Town, and people work closely with the embassy in Pretoria. I know for a fact that in some of the meetings that civil society organizations hold in Johannesburg and elsewhere, they do invite officials from the consulate or from the embassy, and if they have challenges, they basically go there, and the undertakers that are here, like kings and queens and others, they have a good working relationship with the embassy and the consulate, so it's not really a problem.
Thank you so much. Let's get to Mr. Matsingo.
Mr. Matsingo in London, how the situation is in London.
Your reply, Mr. Matsingo?
On the embassy issues, I'm not qualified to comment on the embassy issues. That's why I'm quiet.
Yeah, okay. No, it's not.
You find that is
no,
the case,
Mr. Matsingo.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it's not an issue of you commenting on the embassy, but just how Zimbabweans, you know, there, including yourself, interact with the Zimbabwean embassy there. Just that.
From a personal point of view, I think our embassies need to do a lot more. That's me at a personal level. Embassies need to do a lot more to make sure the citizens of their country know that they are there for them they are there to help them, basically, like Ms. Matika was saying. Because the people tend to have this feeling that maybe the embassy only serves the purpose of renewing the passport when their passports have expired. But otherwise, the embassies are there to do a lot more for their citizens. And I think people need education. Embassies need to be coming on programs like this to educate people so that people know that the embassy doors are open for them to use to get a lot of services and a lot of support. So I think we need to start moving towards where people feel that they own the embassy, and the embassy is specifically set up to support them, not only when you want to renew your passport. So I think there's a lot of education that needs to happen to support the communities, and also the embassies showing up on community programs where we have tragedies, where the embassies show that they are supporting people, and that is very critical.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matsingo. And your last word, Mr. Matsika?
Thank you so much. I've heard what Mr. Matsingo said, and I understand. I agree with him to some extent because we need to do more. And to a certain extent, I also want to go back to the Zimbabweans to say the most important portal that we have been using all along to communicate with the Zimbabweans is the embassy website. And I've seen a lot of Zimbabweans who come here even for applying for a passport who do not know what to bring. But yet all this information is on the website. For instance, the information that we've been discussing here about what is required to repatriate the remains of a Zimbabwean, this information has been on the website since time immemorial, but a lot of people do not know this. That's why I'm saying to a certain extent I agree with Mr. Matsingo, we need to do more. And we are prepared to do that. With this kind of information sharing, this is the best platform to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry, gentlemen, we don't have extra time here. We're out of time, literally. And we have to leave it there. We thank our guests this evening, Mr. Rwatirasa Matsika of the Zimbabwe Embassy. And then with Pastor Isaac Mwase, Mr. Ngqabutho Mabhena, and Mr. Jeff Matsingo.
Tisingakanganwo vateereri Gibbs vanga vachifonawo kuno tinonzwa iri kuti vamwe vangu vachikundikana kunge vachiwana mukana wekupinda kuno nhare dzichinetsa asi tinovatenda zvakare tichivakurudzira kuti rambai muchipinda pachirongwa. Chirongwa ndechenyu. Ndini Jonga Kandemiri ndichiti murayiro zvakanaka.
And I'm Gibbs Dube in Washington DC. Good night, Zimbabwe.